Okay, so hush now.
Hi. Hello, everybody. This is Joe G.
Hey, I'm Shannon.
Hi, I'm Ron.
Hey, this is Steve.
Oh, and we can't forget about Marcel.
Oh, hey.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Trackside with the Back on Track team.
Good morning, everyone.
Today it's myself, Alison, Shannon, and Claude.
Okay, so today's topic today, which we came up within like the last hour, so to speak, is basically, advice versus advice. So as Claude said in the chat, basically what's the best advice versus what's the worst advice, so to speak.
So in chat, what's your advice?
Yeah, well, do you have anything to add to that, Claude?
The best advice I got that I didn't take it was put your backdrops up, your backboard for your backdrop board up before you get any track laid. I did not follow that. That would have been good advice. That was good advice that I didn't take.
Yeah. So yeah, just basic things like that. Like we might get a little bit political today at a guess, because when we were discussing this topic, we were discussing this topic extensively.
Yeah, the best probably bit of advice that the most recent advice I can probably remember at this stage is with the DCC addresses. If you have 4-digit addresses and locomotives that have less than 4 digits, do not put zeros in front of the address. So, for example, 945, do not put 0945 because the system reads that as an invisible number. So it knows there's something there, but it can't see it. You can put zeros afterwards, so you can make it 9450. You just can't put it in front of the 9. Or you can just put 945.
I'd never heard that before.
Yeah, that's interesting. And
it was a manufacturer that mentioned it.
Oh, there you go.
Now, is that when you program the loco to start with?
Yeah, so when you're programming its address number, so if you're using a 4-digit address system and you want to fill in all the spots, don't put the 0 at the front. I've got a lot of locos that the 2-digit numbers, like NR26, so it's 2600.
There you go. I didn't know that.
Rather than 26.
And me being the sorry sod I am, hiding under rocks most days, I can't actually remember the last bit of advice I received for model railroading. I know I've given out a bit of advice, like oh, now I feel like I put myself on the spot. Jesus. There we go. We'll get back to me. How's that sound? Now, just looking in the chat as well, I can see we've got Steve Arnold's in chat today. He is feeling a little bit unwell, so everyone, send your prayers to Steve so he can get better, so he can get back on the show. Who else do we have? We got Redbird Tony 2010, Grandpa Rails. Who else? Northern Ohio Railroad Action. Schuylkill River Valley. I finally got your name right. Finally.
Yeah.
Leslie Gilpin, he's on tonight. Sparky's on here. Good morning, Sparky. Gary Corbin. I did see someone say hello to Marty. CDP 1965. Good morning.
Big G as well.
Big G. Yep. Is anyone else I've missed? I'm trying to keep up with the chat at the moment.
So, Nick?
Yep.
Sorry, PPR engineer.
Yep. Barnful of Trains. Alex Brockway, good morning. Dwight Curley, good morning to you too. I don't think I've missed anyone. If I have, my apologies. Black Mountain Station, another Aussie. Good evening to you.
Oh, I didn't even see him on there.
Oh, he just literally just popped up just then.
Oh yes, good morning, Black Mountain.
Yeah, there we go. Jeez, chat's moving so quick this morning. I don't think I've seen chat this active in a long time.
Also got Steve 87 KSAP. Yeah, I think that's about it.
Yep. Ali, Leslie's just saying she's hearing a bit of feedback from your end, I believe.
Is that better? Leaning forward?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, that seems to be fine. That's, well, it's still a bit of an echo now. It's more of an echo than a feedback, but...
It seems like it's coming off your screen, Shannon.
Well, it can't be because I've got nothing else open and everything's going through these.
I'm not hearing feedback, just echo.
I guess we'll work with it for the minute.
Yeah, I might have to get a speaker for this or something, or a little microphone.
Yeah. Oh, Wilma's in here somewhere. Where is he? Good morning, Wilma.
Oh, good morning, Wilma. Or morning, afternoon, evening, sometime today.
Yeah, Saturday. It's just Saturday. All right.
Saturday.
That's easier, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so as I said, so basically what's the best advice and worst advice you've gotten? Now, in saying that, as I said with the topic, you know, it's advice versus advice. So with that, you know, like us being part of the community, you know, like there is different forms of advice you get. You know, you get good advice, bad advice, you know, and as it can be a little bit political. So, you know, what I guess one of the things that, you know, struck up this topic for us to make us want to talk about it today is basically, you know, we were talking, you know, in regards to DC versus DCC, you know, it started off like that. And, you know, like a lot of people have different opinions about it. A lot of people give advice of what they think is right or wrong in regards to the two. But yeah, in saying that, like, as I said, as, you know, we were discussing, it doesn't just fall under DC versus DCC. It can fall under, you know, people giving you advice on you doing your, you know, do your trees this way or do your trees that way? Do your rivers this way, rivers that way? Do your tunnels like this? Do your mountains like this? Every part of this hobby that we, you know, all come to become a part of, you know, everyone's got their own opinion, their own advice on how to do things. Some of it, you know, is right. Like, you know, someone might have an idea that's better than my idea, you know. Or, you know, someone might have an idea that, you know, I don't really like or enjoy. But in saying that, you know, like that's up to me whether to take that advice on or not. So, you know, that's what we're putting to you guys. Like, you know, what's some of the best advice you guys have had? What's some of the worst advice? And, you know, and what are things you have done to try and help people when giving advice, or what have you done when someone has given you advice as such, you know, and what things have you've argued about with people?
An example that we were talking about earlier was model railway clubs. You join model railway clubs because you want to be part of the community, but you also tend to learn something from them as well, because other people have got varying levels of experience and can often offer solutions to a particular problem. That was something Claude and I were discussing earlier.
Discussing, I reckon, is understanding because I was kind of taken aback and I was like, whoa, we need this on the live stream now.
Well, and you also get people out there that want to give you not so much advice, but they want to force their opinion on you. So you have to be careful when you give somebody advice about something. Realize that it's their hobby, and they may want to do it different than you do it. You can give them advice and say, this is what's worked for me, but don't say that's the only way you can do it, because it's not. There's tons of ways to do almost everything we do in this hobby. And you also have to be able to take somebody's opinion with a grain of salt, because you have to understand how they're giving it to you. If they do give it to you in a forceful way, you have to be able to just say, okay, and then just not do it if you don't want to do it. But you have to be able to keep the civility in it and not get going back and forth, because that won't help either one of you.
Now, thanks to good old Sparky, who sends us some questions through Messenger so we can keep up with the chat. David Z to G scales says make your layout your own vision, but other ideas help. Big G Gary, he says, I think my best advice I got was pick your location, scale, and space before planning. When planning the railroad, be prepared to make changes. They will happen. John 2618, joining a club was great for me, learning so much. Fred Wild's in the house. Good morning, Fred. Take your time building so you're not constantly redoing. So yeah, those are some really good advice. And like now thinking about it, maybe if someone who's just joining the model railroad hobby comes across this video, maybe they'll pick up some advice from here as well. Let's see, who else is there? Redbird Tony 2010. I would take advice from guys like Sparky and Vinny early on. Any experienced modeler, those are actually some good advices there, believe it or not.
And the other thing we wanted to discuss as well is how to give advice, because I don't want to say there's a right way and there's a wrong way to do it, but there's a way that you can rile people up, and there's a way you can do it that's kind of professional, and you still get your point across, but you're not going to annoy somebody with it either. We were discussing earlier about, rather than just pointing at something and going, that's wrong, that's not going to work, and then walking away, you're just going to leave the person sitting there going, what did I do wrong? Why doesn't it work? And so what you've got to do is you've got to come up to them with a solution. You walk in there and say, this is not going to work because of A, B, and C. So, yeah, and then they'll go, all right, so what's the best way to fix it? Then you go, all right, you do E, F, G. So that's probably the best way to go about when it comes to advice. Because if you just go straight in there with your opinion, I don't like that because that's wrong. You got to remember, it's their model railroad. It's at the end of the day, they want to run it the way they want to run it. But there's still certain rules that you've got to obey, like positive and negative and all that sort of stuff. So there's still certain things you can't go around. But the creativity part of a model railway is, at the end of the day, all up to you.
Yeah.
Don't come in and say, I wouldn't do it that way. Say something more like, you might want to try it this way, or this is how I did that particular thing. And then, show them how you did it, and tell them why you did it that way. But don't say because that way sucks. That's not a good way to go about it.
That's just putting you down.
Yeah, that's counterproductive for both parties.
Mm.
And in fact, we had that happen yesterday on our trackside beans stream. Shannon helped me with a problem, and then I hopefully helped Gary with a problem that he had. So, and all I did was show him what I did and where I got the information. And if he wants to do it that way, then he can do it that way. It may or may not work for him, but I'm not going to go say that's the only way you can do it. It's the only way it's going to work, because I don't know that's the only way it's going to work. I just know it works for me. And so I gave him that information, and he can do with it what he wants. Same thing with Shannon showed me something. Well, I didn't end up going with the item that he showed me, but I did go with the company that he showed me. They had something else that I liked a little bit better. And so I went that way. But that's how you got to work with it. And of course I asked for Shannon's opinion.
Yeah.
And when Gary came on, he was just telling us what his problem was. And so I had what I thought was a solution for it. And like I say, it may not work for him, but it's something he can try, because right now he didn't have any other solution for it. So that's the way you want to try and do it.
Exactly. Like, the advice you might give might give the exact solution someone wants, but if not, like as I said, you said yesterday, when I said, go this way, I might have given you a solution, but you decide to do a little bit more homework on part of the advice I've given you, and you found a different solution altogether that I didn't even think of. And it's just the little things like that. Now, just going back to chat, because I am getting a lot of information coming through at the moment. Steve 87th, he says, so now see, you start off with a controversial topic right off. My first club experience sucked. They were old guys. They said they wanted new blood, but just their money, not their input. So sorry to hear that, Steve, but as I say, you get the good with the bad, so that can be a bit understandable. We might touch on that a little bit later on. Redbird Tony, I find most guys in the community are very helpful to everyone. Big G again, don't be afraid to try something. If it fails, you can always redo it. This is how you learn.
100% agree there.
Now, I don't know what Sparky's exactly asking me here. Shannon, question from Wilma. So Wilma's asking, Shannon, are you familiar of the Cairns Range Railway? I wouldn't say I'm very familiar with it, but I can say Cairns is definitely like a 4 or 5 day trip north from where I am. So it's in another state, but I'm definitely going to look it up. That might be a question better for Ali. She might know of the Cairns Range Railway. Where else? Cairns Range. Up in Cairns.
Cairns Range. Oh, like in Queensland?
Yeah.
No, I'm not familiar with that one, actually.
Oh, there you go. That's something we can both look up.
Yeah, there's the Kuranda Railway, which I think comes out of Cairns.
Mm.
I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah, we'll get back to you on that, Wilma. Let's see. John 2618. There is definitely a difference between good advice and over-the-top critics' opinions. That actually is a really good point. Some people, they think they're giving you their opinion, but in reality, they're criticizing your work. That's how I understand that, and I reckon that's actually a really good point there. PDRR Engineering. I don't mind sharing my opinion, but I don't give advice. That's actually some good advice there. Don't actually give advice, just give your opinion. Because sometimes an opinion could lead to more solutions than actual advice, possibly. Maybe that's the kind of thinking we're in there. Huh? Let's see. Norman Rowe. I spend most of my time learning, but if I find myself in a situation with a fellow railroader that I can share my knowledge, I will do so. And Black Mountain is asking why Claude is saying guest.
Deal.
I don't know about that, Black Mountain.
Because I don't get paid.
Not yet. Oh, okay. Wow, 20 minutes into the stream already, and my God, I have trying to keep up with this is amazing.
Topic hit a nerve, I guess.
Mm.
Or several nerves, it looks like.
Yeah.
Or
but not giving advice unless it's asked for, and then it's still an opinion on how you did it or how you think they could do it to make it better. But as long as you don't say this is how you should do it, say if this is what worked for me, or this is what worked for a buddy of mine that had the same problem, you know, it makes it a lot easier for them to take that advice and do something with it, other than, you know, rejecting it out of hand because you're forcing it on them.
Yeah.
So that's the trick, I think, in giving your opinion or your advice, either way.
Yeah, exactly. Like now that I think about it, there is something I always advise, or I give my opinion, because it is an opinion, because I know a lot of people argue the point, but it's always in regards to the Athens challenges and big boys, because everyone's always asking, you know, is it a good model, is it a bad model, this or that, da da da, and I always give the same statement every time. Like, I might change the wording here and there, but it's pretty much to the T, exactly the same for the last 5 years. And I always add, you know, on there, from what I have found, or from what I have learned, or from what I have experienced. You know, I never say, you know, oh, this is why, this is how you do it, you know, don't do it, etc. Every time I start off, I always go, this is what I've learned, this is what I've tried, or this is what I've been told. You know, it's simple little things like that, because it is exactly what it is. You know, like, if Ali tells me this is the best way to install a Dakota in X model, I'm not going to turn around to someone else and be like, this is how it's done, this is what you do. I'm going to turn around and say, look, I don't know personally, but someone who I've spoken to who has done it has said for me to do it this way, and then explain it from there. So
yeah, exactly.
You know, it's just
100% agree there. I believe, or it is a really good one to start with as well, because that makes it an opinion rather than fact. And there's a difference between fact, which is it is what it is, there's no changing it, and there's, from what I've observed, or I believe, changes that whole saying altogether. It completely, as Shannon says, rewrites the meaning of what you're about to say.
Okay, if you guys want to keep this, because I'm just going to try and keep up with chat, because I can see a lot of. Actually, here we go. Here's something CDP 1965 just said. You know, which, you know, falls into the subject quite well. Don't run new people off the hobby. Grow the hobby. Because, I know I've seen it a few times. I don't know about Ali or Claude if you have, but I've seen so many times, you know, someone start, you know, not children as such, but, you know, like adults who, you know, want to get into the hobby, support it financially themselves. They'll get a start on it, you know, and they get excited. They buy, for example, you know, because I'm more familiar with N-Scale, they buy an N-Scale Buckman, you know, GP40 with a couple of box cars and whatnot, you know, with the easy track, you know. I know personally that, yeah, it's an okay model, but it's very cheap, it's very toy-like, you know. And, you know, like, and I'll tell them that. I'll go, look, you know, it's okay for maybe it'll last you maybe for the next 6 to 12 months, easily. The box cars you could probably keep for, you know, a fair few years. You know, because, you know, personally, myself is, I bought the same kit. It lasted me 8 months before the GP40 died. You know, the easy track that I use, the snap track, you know, I had it in the loop. I didn't mind it, but trying to get, you know, other tracks to fit it, you know, like trying to get turnouts, more different curves, different straights, it was, you know, it was easier and cheaper for me if I wanted to go down that route, to go Kato, or to go with the other route I did go down with, which is just using Pico Flex Track and Pico Set Track. You know, like, whereas I've seen other people who approach, you know, the same person and go, oh, you bought a piece of crap. You know, what the hell were you thinking? Why didn't you do your homework? you know, and it just happens too often, from what I can tell.
And it's disappointing that members in the chat here have experienced this as well. That you get those kind of opinions when you join a new club. You want to join the club and get a positive experience out of it. And it's unfortunate that people have had these negative experiences where they've just someone's just gone, "You bought crap," or that's going to last for 5 minutes. And I'm sure that the person who bought that would have sat in the shop pondering for ages whether or not to purchase that particular model. So I know the shop would have probably just tried to sell them that product because they want to get rid of it. But it doesn't help the hobby itself, particularly when a lot of the people are starting to get older in the hobby and age out, and the hobby will die if we don't have people, younger people, joining the hobby and carrying them away with those sorts of things. They just look at it like, that's a mountain I can't climb. You really got to encourage them and nurture that interest that they have, that initial little spark that made them wander into that hobby shop in the first place.
Yeah, I agree. And you're right in saying that if they've got a cheap product that they bought that for a reason. Either they liked it, which is fine, or that's all they could afford, which is also fine. It still gets them in the hobby. And there's always going to be a time, because I started this back when I was in grade school, and I couldn't afford to buy really nice stuff. I had cheap stuff, a lot of Tyco stuff like that. But it got me in the hobby, and it got me doing stuff that I like doing, and I progressed from there. Then I was out of it for a long time when the kids came along, and I just got back into it a year and a half ago or so, 2 years ago. And I can afford to put more into it now, but I could have been just as happy not doing that. I probably would be finished with my layout now had I not put that much more money into it. But that's still a personal thing that you're going to do, and there's all kinds of reasons why somebody's doing what they're doing. So yeah, that's not to berate them for buying cheap product is kind of silly. You can point them in the direction of a better product, but chances are it's going to cost 3 times what they paid for whatever they've got. That's where I tend to see the differences in locos, especially. The cheap ones are cheap, and then the better ones are pretty expensive.
Yeah, and I agree. Like now, in saying that, like now thinking back, I remember the other day, it might have been last week when, me and Steve were just chatting away, talking about, steam locos and whatnot, and, now thinking back on it, I think I did say it the wrong way around. But, like I was saying, like I said something along the lines of, like you kind of get what you pay for kind of deal, which I can't exactly remember what I exactly said, but I know thinking back to it, like the way I probably worded it wasn't probably the right way as well. So you got to kind of think a little bit about how you talk to people, which then brings me back to going back into chat. Redbird Tony says, I think, now that my screen goes black, that'd be right. Where are we? I just lost him. Uh-oh. Yeah, Redbird Tony, I think there are new things to learn in this hobby every day. It continually changes, which, I agree with that. Joey Buzzcut. Okay, I'm butchering your name. I know I am. Joey Buckzek, I think is how you pronounce it. The best advice in the past has usually been, this is how you shouldn't do it, and then proceeded to make a fool of myself. He also says, my only rule has been, it is fun. Yes, then it's right.
I like that.
That's why it's a hobby. That's why they call it a hobby. It's something that you do with your spare time.
Yep.
And you do it because you like doing it. So if it becomes not fun, you're not going to do it anymore. So it's got to stay fun.
Now, Norman Rowe, I think he might have had a typo, but I want to read it out anyway. He said, "Happy first birthday, Asia." If he's referring to my boy, we'll get back to that in a second, but we'll work that out in a minute. Now, what else? I think the best way to give advice is, have you tried to insert topic here? I think that's from Sparky himself directly. Fred Wild, it really bugs me when someone says when that car never ran with those engines. Yeah, I can agree with that. That could be, a bit of an opinion and advice kind of thing. CDP 1965. I've been really lucky to find this community. Have not had any bad experiences and have had lots of good opinions and advice. Black Mountain Stations. Nothing's better than talking to the person that is wise enough to have a shop in your interests. I'll have to actually.
Only one thing I'd say about that is you have to be careful because they also are in business to make money. So sometimes they'll steer you towards something that you can't afford and tell you that's the only way you can go. And so you got to be careful with that. But other than that, I agree with that statement.
Yep. And CDP 1965 comes out as well with, sometimes it's better for someone to learn on their own by making mistakes instead of getting turned off by someone else, which I totally agree.
That brings me to a good point as well, is back to those people that started with that cheap product or the Hornby starter set that's only $200 and you get your track, your loco, power pack, everything in the box, as opposed to a $200 locomotive where you just get the locomotive. The beauty about them starting with those sets is that you can actually practice and learn your skills on those things before you move up to what you want to actually model. So that's where you can start learning how to tip a locomotive, how to play around with CDs and things in DCC, or how to weather a locomotive, how to maintain a locomotive, because that's not an easy task for some people when it comes to disassembly and things like that.
Yeah.
So those are good starting points for those people to practice their skills before they get into the more expensive stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it also gives them a chance to find out if they're going to like the hobby well enough to invest more money into it. We have the same thing in the RC airplane community. People would come to us and say, how do I get into it? And we kind of try and steer them toward a beginner airplane, because if you're not, and one that wasn't expensive, because if you're not going to like it, if you find out it's too hard for you or whatever, and you want to move to something else, you haven't invested a lot of money in something. Because we'd have the big, nice airplanes out there, and people would come up and say, oh, I'd like one of those. Where can I buy one of those? And well, you don't want to start with this anyway. You'll be sorely disappointed. But the same thing holds true for model trains.
Yeah,
you don't want to, they don't need to be jumping in whole hog if they've never done it before with the most expensive stuff they can find. That would be silly.
Oh,
in my opinion, that would be silly.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you can even see it like, when a teenager starts to learn to drive a car. You're not going to put them in a brand new $500,000 Mercedes, are you? You're going to put them in a $200 little hatchback, that's got dings and you name it. And, needs a little bit of, it's a bit rough on the outside, needs a bit of a fix up, but it's there. It's there for them to learn. It's there for them to learn the skills they need before investing into, money into, later on.
Yeah.
Now, hey, Claude, in saying that, David from Z to G Scale, I think he's having a bit of a joke with you. He goes, guest, did anyone ever tell you sound like Dr. Phil?
No, they haven't.
And I just dropped it.
Now that we've made that connection, I see it too. I can't unsee it.
Yeah, and I've just dropped a couple of things that it is important. No, I'll find it later. The floor's clean.
Are we about halfway through the show now, Shannon?
A little bit past halfway through the show. So what I'll do is I'll let you guys in chat discuss some more. You know, if there's anything else you wanted to say and whatnot. I do have a video that Brian got us ready for us the other week, which I haven't had a chance to play, but I think now's the time to play it, which I think is very fitting considering Steve Arnold is in chat today and not on screen, so everyone would be missing him. I think Steve Arnold now knows what it's going to be. And then when we get back, we've got a couple of little announcements that we want to set in stone, so to speak. And yeah, we'll go from there. So bear with me 2 seconds whilst I change this. We'll be back with you in a couple minutes. Whoops, wrong one.
Hey, good morning, guys. It's a very cold February morning, 2020, and I'm going to start a short mini series on trying to finish getting this locomotive painted. It's been almost 2 years. I got this from a very good friend of mine that passed away a couple of years ago, and it was painted yellow. Being Pacific and being a Santa Fe engineer, I just couldn't see writing something from Uncle Pete. So I stripped off the paint and with the intentions of painting it into a Santa Fe livery, and that's what I intend to do. My plans have been to repaint it to the 1241. That was the first locomotive that I actually used as a brand new engineer for the Santa Fe in May of 1981. Forgive the shadows because I've got a really nice bright spring sunlight going this morning, but I got everything put on and painted. It actually turned out really good. I'm 99% pleased with it. I've got some touch up I've got to do, but that's actually not that big a deal, but it looks really good. So I got all the the details on this morning. I put on the handrails here on the side and the horn on the top. The seat for the riding car relocated, which is going to be so much nicer. And the car matches the locomotive. And all's good. So, like they said with the driving of the Golden Spike, when the last spike was driven, done. So this is a done deal. And, you know, I'll try to keep you updated. I, may do some updates on it. I'm not sure. But appreciate you guys sticking in and following the forward updates on this thing. And now I can get back to working on the...
Happy birthday, Andreas.
Shannon, some of them are saying there's no sound.
Okay,
Yeah,
it's
that's
probably,
what's coming out.
okay, the sound with me now. I think I just realised what I just did wrong. My bad. Okay, so Ali and Claude heard everything I said. You guys didn't. Yeah, so that was my baby boy Andreas. He turned 1 on Friday. So just wanted to show you off some photos of one of the future model railroaders, because both him and his brother, both him and his brother, his older brother Alex loves trains. He's got almost as big a collection in wooden trains as I reckon I do in model trains. And Andreas isn't too far off. I mean, he already follows a train around the layout like a cat to a ball, that's for sure. So happy birthday to my little boy Andreas. And that comes to the second part. So I guess I'll let either Ali or Claude figure out which one of you then want to take the reign. But okay, Claude. But basically, yeah. So Steve made an executive decision during the week, which I think Claude, you know exactly what that would be.
Yeah, he asked me if I'd like to be part of the team, and I said I'd be honored, and so here I am. Willing to do whatever you guys need done and fill in. I've been filling in when you guys asked to get somebody on because nobody else wanted to get on, but we'd love for other people to come on. That's why one thing I liked about this channel was you were going to have guys on that you didn't see all the time, you're starting to see me all the time, so I'll get somebody else on, but welcome Ally too. She's a new member.
Yep, so yeah, Ali's part of the team now too. And in saying that, our first female member as well. Like, I know a lot of the, I think that's half the reason, we decided to put her on as part of the team is because it is a rarity to find a woman's opinion on the hobby.
It's not as rare as you think, but yeah, it is a little bit rare. Oh, that goes back, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much for welcoming that onto this channel. It's really exciting because this is the first live YouTube channel I've ever actually been a part of. So, and I look forward to many, many more future episodes and trackside beans and what else.
Yeah, exactly. Now, with that as well, I know Sparky has been sending. He's already sent me like 13 messages now, so I've got to try and get through them in a minute. But yeah, so there's that. The other thing as well is I know we have been saying this time and time again that we're going to get updates and this and that, etc., etc. But it's coming to fruition right now. But the traveling boxcar is going to happen. What were you saying, Ali?
I said fruition.
Fruition. So, okay, you're correcting my bad English. So, as you can see, still working on it. Got to get a couple more names onto the boxcar of the guys on the team, which I should be able to have that finished within the next 48 hours.
Show them the roof, Shannon.
Yep. There you go. That's the roof. I don't know if it's appearing backwards on your screen, guys, but
looks forward to us.
Yep. So there's that. So that's the N scale one. There is a HO scale boxcar en route to me to modify and decorate. I will then be sending them off to Steve, who will be finishing up a couple of like the little guest book that we're going to be accompanying that with. And I've got to get a hold of Simon Saucy, because he has the list of people who are already put their hands up to try and get, the traveling boxcar on their route, so to speak. So that will definitely be happening. Hopefully we can get it happening sooner rather than later. But yeah, but at this rate, like once I get the boxcar and decorate that, I should have these sent off within 2 to 3 weeks, I reckon.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah. Now, Ali, I don't know if you have the chart up, but now I've got like 16 messages to go through. Jesus Christ. Okay,
Thanks,
so Norman Rowe. Okay, so on Norman Rowe, it was an autocorrect grammar issue there. So thanks, Norman, for that. David Z to G scale. 2 types of model railroaders. Those having fun and the others. So I think he's mainly pointing the finger at rivet counters, but I can account that I am somewhat of a rivet counter, but I'm the rare one. So I like to think I am anyway.
Well, let's not point fingers and stab the rivet counters, because they're enjoying the hobby too. You've got to be fair to them as well. Just maybe not attack them, and if they attack you, just take it on the shoulder.
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, is be super detailed on something, that's great. I love seeing that stuff. I'm not going to do it because I'm not that good at it. It's hard enough to do all the big stuff without getting into the real fine detail of things. For me anyway. But yeah, if they want to do that, that's fine. It's what people get the bad connotation with rivet counters is when those people want to tell somebody else it's not right because it's not detailed enough, or it's not prototypical enough, or whatever the case may be. So that's where they get the bad name. But just because they like doing that, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. Well, you're saying that, like, as you just pointed out, Claude, they don't exactly give their opinion. They demand that you follow their opinion, saying that's not right, you're doing it wrong, etc., etc., etc. And it just puts people in a little hole. Sure. Now what else is there? CDP 1965. Thanks, Ali. Now I know what to do with my cheap locos. I think that was it to the comment from what you said before. David Z to G. Oh, we already said that one. Where are we? Redbird Tony 2010. When I started out in DCC, I didn't know much. Bought an MRC system that was junk. Had I asked for help, I think experienced modelers would have helped me. Sparky is saying, Claude, now you really have to change your name to Dr. Claude. So it looks like it has stuck you on now, Dr. Claude.
I can't unsee that.
Yeah.
And I don't watch Dr. Phil, so just so you know.
Yep. What else? Well, hang on a second. What's going on? Okay, I've got to ignore all that. Joey, I'm just going to call you Joey because I cannot pronounce your last name. Okay? Until we talk face to face, I am not going to pronounce your last name, I've decided. My wife's opinion is whatever, Joey, you and your geekery. Leslie Gilpin, the Lays are out there. I heard in Edmonton, Alberta, there's an all-female model railroad club.
Wow.
CDP 1965 says, yes, Ali is a great addition to the team. Wilma. I think Wilma was meant to say, yay, the boxcar. And welcome to the team, Ali and Claude. And PDR Engineering says, the traveling boxcar is great. Okay. I've caught up. Say what, sorry?
I was just saying Shannon's done a great job on it.
Yeah. Do not ask how all these names are on here. That is a secret. So, but yeah, as I said, I've got a couple more names to add on there, and then it'll be finished. And then the other boxcar should be here, what day are we? Saturday. Should be here Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday. Fingers crossed anyway. My mind has just gone. I've just batted all those messages out from Sparky, and now I'm trying to catch up in my head.
I just want to say thank you for all the love that I'm receiving, and congratulations for joining the team. Thank you.
Yes.
Do we want to talk about what do they call it? The subs and all that sort of stuff for all the channels?
Yes, if you guys have any content on your channels and you want people to go to your channel to subscribe, now's your chance. I did see Steve Arnold has put our email on there regarding any information. So if any of you guys have any information in regards to the traveling boxcar, email us on that email for the minute, because we are trying to get a hold of Simon, who has a list of people who've already put their hand up for the traveling boxcars. As well, in saying that, you know, I know we haven't asked this in a while, but send us photos, send us videos, send us links to your channel if you need to, and say use this video for the intermission video if you know, as per se.
Oh, one thing I'd say.
Yep.
Keep an eye out for trackside beans.
Yeah.
Yes.
During the day, during the week, when Shannon
Randomly.
feels like it.
Yeah, pretty much. At the
Yeah,
moment.
because we have a lot of fun on that.
Yeah.
And it's just mainly working on the railroads and chatting while we're doing that. So it's a lot of fun. If you're not doing anything, and most of you aren't, but except working on your railroad, so you can watch it while you're doing that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think last night was probably the most impromptu trackside beans, because I was up cleaning. I almost have a clean workshop room, so to speak. But yeah, I was just cleaning, kind of sat down, and then I've gone, bugger it, set it up, and I just gone go live, and that was it. and I'll get all these messages like, "What's going on? What's going on?" So, and and we have to thank Steve Arnold for the name because he actually came up with the name, and I forget the explanation of why it's called beans, but it works. We do spill the beans on a few things, and it gets political, and a couple of F-bombs get dropped, and...
Oh, that's on you.
Yeah, that's on me.
Language canon.
Let's see. Human City Junction, hello. You pretty much missed the whole show, but you can watch the rerun. Assuming that it Facebook uploads it in due time, because I know they have a lot of traffic at the moment with the situation that's happening globally with the showstopper, as Sparky calls it.
Grandpa Rails has got 484 and a contest at 500. So get over there and subscribe to Grandpa Rails.
And PDR Engineering supposedly has just opened up a live stream, which I might actually jump over onto after I finish this stream. So, I might jump over there and have a chat with the guys. Fred Wild, I have a question video coming out today. I'm looking for advice on an engine. So there you go. We're talking about advice. Everyone, jump onto Fred's page, subscribe to him, click the little bell icon. When he posts that video, help him out. That's what this community is about. And why does it sound like everything's just gone mute in my ears?
Because you're deaf.
There we go.
You explained that to me yesterday.
Yeah. No, literally, it was dead silence in my headphones. I'm like, did I just do something? Did something just went back?
I fixed something.
I'm just going to double check, make sure there's no last minute messages.
For everyone else, the same deal.
Yep.
Click, like, subscribe, press the little bell icon, etc. and so on.
Oh, here you go. Joey Bootsick. Okay, he's actually showing me how to pronounce his last name. It's BOOT-ZICK. Bootzick.
Bootzick.
Okay. Every time I see you, Joey, that's all I'm going to remember. Joey Bootzick. I'm not going to say Bootzick. I'm going to go Bootzick. I'll have to double check what the guys are saying about Gary raised his hand to volunteer. I'm guessing that's a volunteer for jumping on to the show. If someone can grab Gary's details or something, please, one of the moderators, before we jump off. Whilst that happens, I guess I'll change onto this screen because it's about that time. There we go. There we go. So, what's going on? What am I missing?
What have you done?
Oh, I'm just reading the chat because I've caught up with everything here. I know a couple of guys. Okay, guys, most of our channels are in the link in the description below. I do have to update it a little bit. Ally doesn't have a channel as such because she only has a channel to view other people's channels, not to put.
Thank you for the subscribers, by the way.
Yeah. Wilma is talking about the 619 contest at 1,000. And yeah, it was a good chat today. And yeah, as I said, for anyone who's interested, email us if you want to be part of the traveling boxcar. We will get a list. We will be mapping it out. I am going to try and find some sort of web browser that I can track its movements through the globe, which I think for the moment is going to be mainly in the USA and maybe a couple of places in Australia.
How many viewers did we get in chat tonight?
I am not sure right now. Currently have 32 people in there, but as I said, we're about to head off. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us tonight. So yeah, as I said,
have a good week, everybody.
Yeah, have a good week. If you need to, watch the rerun of this show. You know, watch our previous shows. Watch Trackside Beans so you can get an idea what we do about it. If you need to, we won't blame you if you just skip through ahead of it because they are like 2, 3, 4 hours long. And yeah,
sometimes.
Yeah, and apart from that, yeah, if anyone's interested, jump over to PDRR Engineering's page because he's got a live stream on now supposedly, and I'm gonna jump over there and chat with all you guys there. So,
yep.
Yeah, thanks again. See you guys later, and
stay safe.
All right.
Yeah.